glad we talked about this. And recently, I had to review with my team cost strategy because Nigeria currently is going through moments with its economy. And it doesn't just make sense that, oh, you're great with your skills, you're great with your designing, but the money is not either coming in because you're not able to sign up clients, or the money is not coming in because you're not able to give good margins and make profit as well. So for me, this moment, and I think that this is very timely. I thank the educational team and the educational chair for looking into this, because I believe that it's a thing of the now that we all need to put our eyes on and get right. Whether you're running a showroom, whether you're a full-blown designer, whether you're fully in the construction industry, or you need to get your numbers right. And I guess so that's a brief for me. You're muted.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Tessie. Can we have Mr. Andrew give us opening? Mr. Andrew just got, okay.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. My name is Adeniji Andrew, Creative Director and CEO, Andrezini Projects. I think everybody in the industry should know one thing for sure, that you're in business for profits, aside from, the core values of providing values, professional services, and, pretty much trying to express your passion. But the bedrock of it, or the understating line, is that you're in business for profit. Profit has to be made, bills has to be paid. And certain steps, certain guidelines have to be taken as to how you price your products and services. So, and this is why, costing is very important. Understanding all the components, like Mr. T said, it's not a straightforward thing. It's a combination of or aggregation of different factors for you to arrive at, what you charge to your client as your fee, and knowing what your absolute cost is, knowing what your markup, knowing what your margin is, and your other expenses that comes with it. So costing is a very, important aspect. Like I said, it's universal across all kinds of businesses. You check what your overhead is, check what the cost price is. You also need to understand the economic situation of the country to know how much you can possibly, put as a markup. And also, depending on the kind of clientele that you service, the margin is different for different areas. Actually, for the kind of services like major projects where you're able to charge, different stuff, which also acts as buffer, for you, helps you push your profit margin up. Or if it's just a straight service, like you're selling interior accessories, you are renting a direct service with a fixed market rate. All of these, matters depending on like the kind of services and what area of the industry you're operating in. So we'll try as much as possible to cover whatever we can cover, and everybody can also use that knowledge to research, further, and be able to make their business more profitable. If you're not profiting right now, at least be able to restructure everything and make it profitable for you. So that's it for now. I will leave it to the moderator.
Okay, all right, thank you so much. In order for us to just touch up on most of the points that I think people have in mind, I'm going to be making this more like a Q&A session. So are there a few points that I have noted, and I would start from scratch. I don't want us to assume that everyone knows what they're doing, or everyone has been in business for years or has experience. So we'll just take a brief from basic, and then we go intermediate level, and then go dive into the main issues. So first, I would like to acknowledge the presence of the chair of the education committee, the creative director of Teal Harmony Designs, Ms. Folakemi Oloye, education committee are the organizers of the CPG program, and Ms. Folakemi Oloye. Anyway, just to acknowledge that they brought everyone here today together and put up this beautiful program. Okay, so the first question I want to ask, just to steer the discussion in terms of a basic level, is for costing. I don't want us to assume that we know what costing is. But the first question I'll ask is, what interior design is a service-based industry, okay, where designers, some exceptions, some people are suppliers and all that, but predominantly the interior consultants are we provide services, okay. What exactly, some people would ask, what exactly are you costing? How do you put value on a service? Most people are familiar with costing in terms of products. Something costs X amount, or the price costs X amount plus the labor or any other thing, and you have a price. You come up with the unit price and the quantity, and then you have the price of the product thereabout. But for a service-based industry, how does costing apply to interior design? What aspects of interior design can we cost? I don't know if you understand the question. Let's start with Ms. Desi, please.
Okay, so if I understand, value-based pricing is not so much on material things, but intangible things like your design qualities, things like how functional you've been able to. So these are things you put forward as a designer. Your space management fees, because you're able to give more value because you were able to design a space to be more functional and all of that. So it's value added. So you're on a commercial project, you're able to come up with concepts that run chains of, if you're handling a hotel or such a brand that is going to be in chains, the value you're giving is not just setting up that hotel, or but being able to have your design style go across, and it could be across different. So there's a lot of thoughtfulness and design thinking that has to come to play. So that's where I believe is value-based pricing. So for these ones, you call it as it is. So for me, practically, five actual place where we look at when we are pricing for services. One is consultation. You want me to come out. As a designer, don't just jump out because someone says, "Oh, come to this project." I mean, yes, show the willingness. I know if you're starting out much younger, you might feel, "Oh no, this is an opportunity." But I guess when you either stabilize or when you come to see the value of, or showcase the value and just say, "Oh, okay, I'm going to come out, but please, can you put in a consultation what's the consultation for, they would always ask, is to ensure that I think about this, I'm able to put the scope right, I'm able to, put things together, a whole package. It doesn't just work with product, because you're not just doing products, you're doing services, the very intangible things like project management, time management, and vendor management. Those are all service based as a designer that comes in. Then if you're doing maybe international or interstate jobs, how about your travel expenses? And if you're handling big and commercial projects, you're also going to think about things like your administrative, your printing, because you have to print, you're dealing with vast vendors, you have to print documents that everyone can understand. Those are charges also that come in. So the pricing is really made up of a lot more. I don't know if I have answered or attempted.
Yes, please. Thank you. So, Mr. Andrezini, what's your take on why designers should cost in the first place? I mean, it's a service we provide, but then what elements do we have to cost, essentially? Yes.
Basically, like Mr. Sia said, there are several components to it and steps to it. So, but again, one thing I also want to establish is for people to understand the difference between cost and price, costing and pricing. There is a difference. And even though a lot of times they are used interchangeably, but the process to how the definition is different. So, like, by definition, cost is typically the expense incurred for making a product or service, that is sold by a company. So your cost is everything that goes in the process of creating the value. Because basically, when a client calls you, they are calling you to come and add value to them, to their project. And price in another word is the amount the customer is willing to pay for your product and service, aka the value you are going to bring in. So you need to consider everything that goes into your costing to be able to determine your price. So when you are telling people this is my price, it's because you have done your costing and the total expenses, either in monetary terms, in time, in sweats, that cost you to create that particular product or the service, like the time you spent in learning, in your certificates, your overhead costs, the time it took you. Those are all part of costing. And for you to be able to cost adequately, some things are definitely necessary, especially for our industry. So the discussion is about our industry, construction and design. Definitely the place of a solid team, and most importantly, a quantity surveyor, a QS. The QS is absolutely important in this business going forward, either for product costing, service costing, execution, and all of that. So you definitely need a QS to be able to factor in all your all the components in terms of what you need to create. So, like there are tangible and there are intangible parts to this. Tangible part is the physical aspect. That is the physical product that you're selling. Like Mr. C mentioned, your costing starts from your charging your consultation fee, because your time is a form of service. Hello?
We can hear you.
They can hear you.
Yeah. Okay, so your time is a form of service. And maybe like the solid furnitures, tables, dining, and the rest, they are the products. So, that's why I say, that's why we always use service and product and services together. So, it starts from, the consultation aspect, because like I said, your time is a service, and you need to know the fact that your time is valuable, because you have, gone to, taking out your time to specialize on this trade. You have gone for a design school, or either you studied architecture in school. It's time you actually paid to learn this. So that time has to be valued. And also, people have to pay for it, because you dedicated either 4 or 5 years out of your life to go and learn this. So if your time is valuable, you need to charge for it. We understand our environment can be funny in that, especially when you're just starting out in business and you don't have like body of work or evidences to show for, what you are offering. But like I said, then you should find a way to value make sure your time is valuable, and understanding, between costs. And so like I said, if for any projects you want to do, you need a QS to be able, after you've gotten your brief, you've done your consultation and all of that, you need a QS to properly break down, your what is going to cost you to deliver, the value to the client, that is at the price that you're charging, or the price the client is willing to pay you. There's a lot of
Can we
noise going
turn
on
off
there.
our mic, please? Miss Dio, please can you turn off your mic, please? Sorry about
Okay.
that.
Yeah. And also, aside from the QS, the quantity surveyor, helping you to come up with a BOQ, contracts. I'm sure, from the last time we had something close to this, the CPD, we discussed, contracts in details. Contracts, you need to have your terms and condition. You need to know about contracts, and especially as designer, you also need to understand this contract as well. Like any other contract, there are loopholes, there are weak points, and there are points that you can actually use to um, strengthen yourself in case, issues come up. And you also need, like, apart from, having this contract, you also need a company lawyer as well, depending on the level at which you're operating. Because a lot of times you need, apart from you, based on experience, drawing up all these terms and conditions, you need a lawyer to actually help you to properly, write them out, and so that you share with all your clients before you guys, sign off on the project, pen, before putting pen to paper, and, money exchange hands. Because after that phase, if anything goes wrong, it will always be to your disadvantage as a designer, as a service provider. And we know what, we face daily with, especially our Nigerian clients. Though it's like that everywhere in the world, yeah, but they are problematic clients. But then if you have protected yourself, or you have done all the right things, you are, whatever form of emotional stress, financial stress that the disagreement or whatever, is going to bring, you would have been protected in case, the case goes to court, or even if it's just, mediators getting involved. So I would say, apart from your keywords, you, understanding your contract and having a lawyer is very important in this process. I think, there are also different ways to price as well, but I'm sure we'll dive into that as we proceed. But, just for basis, I think that's that for now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sorry about that. On the issue of cost, I have here, because of the CPD, we still have to have a bit of note taking thereabouts. So just point one, cost, pricing, and value. Okay. It says successful businesses maximize their profits by matching their pricing with the value that customers place on their products or services. The cost. The cost is cost of a product or service is your total outlay in creating that product or service. Okay. The price. The price of a product or service is your financial reward for providing that product or service. Okay, the value. The value of a product or a service is the worth that your customers place on that product or service. The higher the worth of a product or service to a customer, the higher the price that you can charge. And this is just to summarize what both Ms. Stacy and Mr. Andrew said. He said there's a difference between cost and pricing. And Ms. Stacy also mentioned about your value. What service are you providing? What value are you adding to the process or the project? We have to be able to distinguish between the cost, what is costing you for a product or a service, the price, which is what you value, what the reward for what you're offering, and then value, which is very important, is, and what I notice here is value is more of how the customers perceive what you're offering. And the more or the higher the value of the customers or the clients value what you're bringing, the higher you can place your, or the higher your price can be. So this is not fixed, like products that will say, okay, this is the standard retail price. For a service, for instance, even for products, the way where you put yourself, how you value yourself and how you place yourself is how nobody can come and sue you for the value you think you're bringing. So it's really subjective. So that's that for cost, pricing, and value. The second point here is understanding business costs and breaking even. Okay. So I want our speakers to kind of shed more light into or dive deeper into those business costs and maybe even go personally in terms of your design experience. Some of the costs that you feel like people don't factor in when they're doing their design or costing for their for a project, and then break even, which is another aspect of costing. Okay, so how do you go from just your standard business costs and then breaking even before we now, the next stage is to now make profits, but just for starters, how do we what do you understand as, or what's your perspective or your understanding of business costs, and then the things that you do to at least break, that you have to do. So that's like the barest minimum to break even. Okay.
Sandra, do you want to go first?
No, ladies first.
Ladies first, men before. Okay. Okay, so personally, so you coming from a place, maybe I should just say how you would be more comfortable just marking up on products. I don't want to say better, it's a place of comfort where you would put your fees in between products. Okay, I'm supplying chairs, and I'll just say, oh, that chair, I got it for 400, but I want to sell it for you at 600. I'm just comfortable having it that way. But as designers, and when we grow to be professional designers, we would see that sometimes it even pays, given that just charging your sourcing and procurement fees and knowing that those fees are blocked, those fees are saved, because you can go get a product and the product has issues. Now, you're not the one producing it, you just bought it. Now, all that stuff comes on you if you don't have insurance. It comes on you, and if it comes on you, that means that the cost you're trying to put as markup might just go up, But if, for instance, you have the real cost so one is to work with suppliers and many people that supply, make it as clear as it is. That's what I do. I ensure that whoever I'm getting a product for gives me a better price than what gives an open market. When you do that, I'm comfortable to bring in my clients to you and being sure that I would still, one, have a reserved percentage you're giving me for marketing. So for me, that's marketing. Me introducing my client to you is marketing. So that's a fee I charge the suppliers for bringing jobs to them. And I'll tell them it's my marketing fee. And I have that. Then with my clients, for sourcing and ensuring that the product I'm bringing to you is in alignment with your project, is in alignment with the space, because one, I have understood what you're trying to achieve. And I'm able to know both in budget, both in design, both in quality. I'm able to align all components together to giving you one or two people that I believe that we can work with your project. So I charge you a fee for that. And that's where either you put it as your design fee. So normally you should have fee structures that, when it depends on the type of project that you're handling also. There are different types of projects, ranging from your residential, commercial, hospitality project. All these projects have components that make them different. And that also applies in their fee structures. For instance, when you're leading a larger project that has to do with maybe enormous revisions are needed, long-term timing on projects and all of that. The way you would structure your fees then is totally different from a short time. I just want a quick fix in 2 days. I need a quick fix in 1 month. Your structure would be different. So, but these communications, I dare say, you should have with your clients. You provide. Do you want us to have, this is our hourly rate. For example, I say my hourly rate to come in on your project is 50,000 naira per hour. Would you like me as a consultant to charge you in that way? Would that be better for you? So anytime you call on me on the project, that I spend on the project, I'm going to be charging that. Or do we just have a flat fee where we say, I'm going to spend 16 hours on this project, and I calculate what the 16 hours would be and give the discount there and make it bulk and have you pay for that. So that's another structure. But these structures have to be based on values. You have to show the value, and breaking the value is, like we'll keep reiterating it. It's not easy. It's not getting a whole lot of people's mindset, but I tell you that people also are buying into this because they also give services in different industries, and they are able to know. If I tell my team and I tell myself, if everyone has accepted agency fees to your rental spaces, then you should understand designers' fees when we come into your space to fix it. It's almost standard, agency and legal, whether it's 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, self-contained, even to the lowest person, they understand that. You will see everyone calculate, they'll say, this is agency, okay, together. So likewise, as designers, I look forward to a time that we would know that everyone that calls a designer up to their project is able to say, this is designer's fee. It's a track fee, whether you're just entry them, depending now on the extensiveness of the project, we can now, and the experience of the designer. Just like medical doctors, when you call a surgeon to come on you and you call just a normal medical doctor, it's not the same, and not, it's not the same. Charges are different. So I believe that the more we stand on this about price costing structure in our design business, and I believe IDAN also has a point to play. I want to believe, like, whether NEC, whether education, we can come up with a tool or a guideline for, members to say, okay, do this, or you can start up with this. And literally, if anyone goes out there, they can present it and say, this is industry charges. I'm on level this, and this is industry charges. But that means you also have to give the value of those charges, which makes everyone, stay accountable. So it's not just in the earnings. I don't know if I have deviated. You might need to tell me. I don't know, please.
Amazing. You talked up on understanding business, like you really do understand the different aspects of businesses, and you said that it varies. Having a commercial project or a residential project, that varies, and also makes it different. So I'll do something different, because you have touched on it thoroughly. I would ask Mr. Andrew a different question, okay, to touch on a different question, so we don't, because of time as well. I know you mentioned something. You mentioned about the type of contract that you have is also a determinant of how you cost or where you place value, whether on your design fee or on your markup. Also, whether what the nature of what you're doing is more of supply, and you just say, if someone just calls you, oh, I need to move in next week, can you just furnish this place for me? That's a different thing entirely from saying, okay, I just acquired this place, or I have, can you come up with a design, a concept, and you have that time on your side to actually give that service, like your full scope service as an interior designer. Because yeah, we do have full scope design service, and not all projects would be full scope. Okay, so yeah, so you mentioned that element of contract. So for instance, by saying contract, please let me clarify. The reason why I'm saying contract is because the type of contract you have determines the kind of scope on the job, the extent in which your service is needed. Whether you're just furnishing, whether you're designing build, whether they expect you to supervise, to project manage, are you the one bringing in the contractors? Are you the one, or they just want you to, or is there an architect on the job or a contractor and they want you to be part of a team of designers or a construction team? All that varies, and is all those things are what maybe makes the costing or the type of, or the way we cost different, okay? And another word for it, in case people want to do further research, is procurement, construction procurement. So if you're not looking at, at the beginning of the session, I said, can we just Google types of construction contracts? In the same way, if you Google types of construction procurement, because also knowing what to search for when you're in trouble or when you're trying to find clarity helps. You can just directly say how to charge for hospitality or how to, but you might not find what you're looking for. So knowing terms like contract, construction procurement also, which is not only on the contract, is the nature of your service, what you're doing, what are you procuring? Is it service? Is it product? That also helps in knowing where do I stand and how do I charge. Okay, so back to my question to Mr. Andrew is to give us, and I know he's very knowledgeable about this aspect of, just briefly, because it's a CPD and in my head, CPD is somewhere where people can take notes and just have that structured bit of knowledge. Okay. So just take us through the type of contracts, construction contracts, or types of construction procurements. Maybe not all the 20 or 25, but the ones that you feel in Nigeria we tend to find ourselves in. And when I say find ourselves in, sometimes you are not the one to dictate what kind of contract you're going to. It's the nature of the job that dictates what type of contracts you're going to be in. So, but from your experience of different spheres of projects and different types of projects, from big to small scale, from hospitality to commercial. So I want you to touch up on, give us a brief, not brief, but in-depth, just fire points on the types of construction procurement and procurement relationship contracts, all in the same line that we have or that we should look out for.
Okay. There are actually, like I said, there's a lot of contracts depending on the environment and the kind of practices that is being done there. And that's why you have a lot, even beyond that 20 that you saw online. There are loads, and so. But like I said, the environment is different, and the practice is different. If you're practicing in the US now, definitely there are ways, things the real estate industry operates there, and how they charge. A lot of time we try to talk about hourly rate here, which I think is practically almost impossible at this stage of the design industry. I don't think that will ever work for anybody. Clients will never pay for that. And so, but for me, I will just touch on the contracts that I know that are applicable here in Nigeria. Like I said, we are all in Nigeria. We're not, apart from you, that you are outside the in the UK. Abi?
No, I'm in Nigeria.
But you are one leg in, one leg out. So,
Okay.
so the thing is, so let me just, go. I will, instead of me trying to list out everything, I will just point out just the ones that are applicable that I have used, and I know most people use as well. Like, and it also fits our way of life and how behavioral patterns here with dealing with different clients. So I will just maybe make out like about 7 or 8, which we can is simple and straightforward and is applicable. I'm sure by the time I start mentioning them, it will resonate with it. So, but then, like I said, the contract, one thing we should note that the contract is not, just to protect us. The contract is to protect both the client and, you, the service provider, the designer. And it should also be in such a way that it is clear and as simple as possible. So to avoid, any form of altercations or arguments, any back and forth. Your contract should be as simple as possible. Even if it's going to be because in some cases you have to use like mixture of 1 or 2 contracts, type, or sometimes 3, depending actually on the economic situation. Like for instance, now we've had before a fixed contract, which also has an addendum, so already makes it open-ended for variation and creating band width for variation, so that look what's the contractor is willing to absorb and what's is beyond the contractor's ability, and the role of force majeure, like what we just experienced in Nigeria recently between last year and January. The way the dollar just rose up like crazy from like how much to 1,900. Those are what you call force majeure. Those are things that nobody planned for, and is beyond everybody's capability, being able to come and, to the table to talk about it. So I would say, there's cost plus construction contract or cost plus kind of contract, which I think is a self-explanatory in its form. Or like I said, because of our time, I will just list it for us to go ahead and expand further into it. Some I will talk more about it, and so that is one cost plus construction contract, which majorly is about the costing majorly. You being able to say, okay, look, for the client, this is the absolute cost of, okay, for your project now, you want to do a boutique, for your ceiling works, this is the absolute cost. For your tiling, this is the absolute cost. These are all the components. This is the price of the tile. This is the amount of sand. This is the amount of cement mixture that goes into it. This is what is going to go for the labor. So pretty much it's all about the costing for the client. Number two is a design and build contract. So design and build, either in construction or in design, is like this: is, look, somebody's giving you the whole project to do from the scratch. They don't want to, oh, I just rented a space. I want a restaurant. I want a 5-bedroom house. I want an hotel, and you are able to code everything that you need to do, all your charges and all of those, and you are able to put in your profit margin. What they want is, they don't care about what the cost is. They don't know just that once you spell out all the details, the expectation and all of those, it's up to you to deliver to them within the time frame agreed. There's also the guaranteed max price contract. Maybe in cases where maybe the client needs you to fund, or maybe they're giving you like an LPO, and you are to provide some certain maybe products or items, and you can do it at your own price, whatever price. Because definitely it's more like, oh, I want to buy a generator. If I want to buy a generator now from a generator company, the let's say is 80 naira to buy it outrightly, but I want to do like a payment plan, or I want to say, oh, the contractor should buy it for me, and I'll pay at a certain interest. So that means if I'm paying later, I'm paying a premium on it. I'm not paying, the regular price. So that's number three. Number four is an incentive construction contract. I will leave, you to, go research more on that. Number five, I will mention integrated project delivery contract. So by the name itself, it means like you are part, of a big project, of the major project, and definitely your contract also will be like a kind of subcontract that is, coming to you in practicality. So not like the main contractor is like, you're going to get this proper contract, but there's like a subcontract that goes to you, being an integral part of this project. There are other meanings to it as well, like I said, depending on different countries and how their practices are. But that is how it affects us here, how it's being interpreted like here in Nigeria. Then you also have the lump sum contracts. Lump sum is basically like another word for fixed price or stipulated price. So, like for instance, now nothing concerns the client that, oh, how much are you paying this person? How much are you buying this? How much is the labor? Yours is saying, for me to this door, this, and that is it. No, it's none of the client's business how many boards you use to build it. The kind of, so like it's fixed. That is why it's lump sum. The details is not available to the other party. You only know that. I'm sure most of us practice this. You tell the client, for me to do this particular thing for you, it's 100,000. It might cost you 20,000 to make. It might cost you 30,000, and your profit margin is 7,000% or 700%. That is your business. That's why it's called lump sum. And The one that Mrs. Tessie mentioned before, the time and material contract, which I don't think is applicable, as a designer or a contract person here in Nigeria yet. But hopefully, I think we get there one way or the other. Lastly, number 8, I would say unit price contract. Unit price is pretty much, what some interior doing right now, where you are able to break down everything and maybe possibly charge a percentage as your own. So like sourcing fee, you being able to help a client do up a list of all the things that are needed to fit out, especially for residential project. It's also for maybe hospitality as well. So you're able to give them the unit price of everything, then maybe help them sources and get all of that. But in terms of projects, which is all my own area, there are lots, contracts. But the most important is for people that collect, take over the house from maybe carcass level, or they just want to do like a design build, type of thing for clients. You're already in the project phase. Either it's residential, is hospitality, or commercial project. You're already in the construction, field as well. So, but the most important is the JCT contract. So the thing about this other type of contract is that it's more robust, as it has the legal aspect to it. That's why I mentioned earlier that you definitely need like a QS and a lawyer, because the QS also understands these contracts, the terms, and the words in there, which maybe if you are not really experienced or you didn't take your time to read properly and know the meaning of all of these words, which is why you always need a lawyer, because they are all written in legal terms. So that is, like I said, that's why I insist that you need a QS and a lawyer, especially when you have a major project. And I tell people sometimes, if we always pray for increase in business, expansion, but it comes with a lot of liabilities and problems. Sometimes a 2 billion naira project would never be as easy as you getting your 60 million, 100 million project, which the intricacies are different. There's the it's not as tight, as you expect. Like you are building a major hotel, a 4-star hotel for somebody. You're building a mighty office space, or any of those projects in Ikoyi, or those high-rise developments, major resorts. There is a lot, that is involved. Your drawings, your documentations, your service level agreement, and the service level agreement are also always tailored to each project, even though there's a general, you know, uh, file that is always used, but you definitely need to tweak a little bit of information there to fit the agreement and the type of contract between you and the client. So there's the JCT and there's the FIDIC. FIDIC is FIDIC. So I want you to look into that and read in details. There's a lot of documents you're going to read, trying to just these two that I mentioned. There's a lot of documents you're going to read. So it's not something I can really cover here. So, but just put it down, JCT contract and FIDIC. That is FIDIC. And this is
JTC
majorly
is sorry to interrupt you. JTC is
JCT is the Joint Contract Tribunal.
JCT, Joint. Thank you.
Yeah, JCT. I've mentioned design and build contract before. Let me just mention a few more, which is all like an integral. So like this, what I'm going to mention now are all under JCT. So like that's why I said is a lot of contracts within contracts. So that's why you need to take your time to read, then also get like a lawyer or a QS, an experienced QS, to put you through, ask all the necessary questions. So under JCT, you you have the design and build contract, you have the construction excellence contract, you have the construction management contract, you have the intermediate form of building contract, that is IFC. Am I going too fast?
No, it's okay.
Yeah, I'm not seeing comments. So
Intermediate. I'm sure everyone is writing and taking
yeah,
notes.
so okay, so let me start again.
Okay.
I'll just push short. I'll put abbreviations. I can put the full meaning in front of it. So let me start all over again. There's a DB, that's a design and build contract. Number 2, there's CE, construction excellence contract. There's CM, construction management contract. So I'm sure we understand by the words in the your role in those kind of contracts, because there are all kind of roles that you play in contracts. So then next is the IFC contract, intermediate form of building contracts. There's MC, management building contracts. Then there is MTC, measured term contract. Measured term contract is more like a contract where it's going to be a long span project or phased projects. Projects are going to come in phases where the contracts, the agreements, how the project execution is going to take a while. So your engagement, your payment, your charges are going to be in those phases, in those measured terms, or they pay you over a particular period, or milestone, what you call milestone. Your work is measured before they pay you another money. So it's more like it's measured terms contract. We have MW, which is a contract for minor work or agreement for minor work. Your next is a PCC. PCC is the prime cost building contract. Under the first 8 people that we always use here in Nigeria. Prime cost building contract. That's PCC. Next, we have MP. We have major project construction. That's where the big money is. That's where the major problem is. Those are the kind of contracts that can lead you to jail, or you guys are in court for 10 years. But if everything is done well, you come out of it, and those are where you make your breakthrough kind of money, because the profit, is crazy. And next is RM. RM is repair and maintenance contracts. This pretty much applies to commercial projects, where there are, especially maybe where there are structural defects. So this is for specialized, this is more for specialized people, let's just say like structural engineers, machinery, people that are able to repair, like HVAC people, now MEP consultants. Maybe the central system has issues, or plumbing, central plumbing system has issues. So or there's like retrofittings that has to be made. Like I said, that's why you need like very experienced people. It's a specialized kind of contract. Then the last one I want to mention will be SBC, that is standard building contract, which is majorly what developers use. So for developers now, you're contracting an architectural firm or somebody to build for you guys, to develop for you guys. This is the kind of contract you give to them. Under the FIDIC, which I mentioned, FIDIC is FIDIC. Like I said, there are two major contracts, and also in recent times there's what you call modified JCT. So you can also, check that out in your research. Modified JCT, so more like an upgrade of, the initial JCT contract terms that's being used worldwide. So those are stuff that you need to do. But let me just also like I said, the discussion is costing for profit. Let me just quickly put in here that for people either for residential or commercial hospitality, there are some charges you need to charge, which also helps you. It creates like a buffer for you when you are doing your project. Like I said, in projects, a lot of things can happen, a lot of things can go wrong. Like I said, most of what you charge, like I said, they are either, no matter what, before the project starts, I still take them as an estimate. Because after you charge that, you also definitely have to go back and say, okay, what is my absolute cost? What is my absolute labor cost? Absolute, product cost? If there's any form of services, maybe you're hiring, project manager, because you put an estimate in there, that I'm estimating that, okay, look, I'll pay my project manager maybe like 300K per month, but you can still go ahead and look for or negotiate, further downward and say, okay, look, you are able to save maybe 50K. Maybe if the project is going to last maybe like 6 months, and you tell the guy, oh, do I know the industry standard or whatever is 300K, but this is a project that's going to last for, 6 months. Let me pay you to 50K. Or you go back and do your what you call value engineering or cost engineering, which is pretty much what I'm trying to talk about. Things that you can do to save costs, but still deliver the same quality, or also product sourcing. So let's just say, for instance, now you used a particular generic term in your costing. Let's just say you use close couple WC. Every brand has their own close couple, but you didn't specify brand. Like for instance now, so Gebrit, Oxford, different kind of UK brand. They all have their own close couple system, which are pretty much the same thing. And some are more expensive based on the brand than each other. So with that now, those are places where you also, you save money from when you're doing a project. So that's why sometimes it's very, very important that you are careful of the terms and the things that you write in there. Most time don't, unless the client insists that you get this particular brand. So always don't always put name of brand in there. You can just put maybe high end or quality. You just use terms like quality, high end. For Nigerians, please, let's stay away from that luxury word because none of us is doing luxury in the real time of it. So you can use other terminologies. Like I said, you can use high end. You can use high
Hardware.
quality, hardware, those kind of stuff. But please stop using that luxury, whatever it is. And you also find a way to always use general terminologies like cladding. Cladding now, you can be anything. Cladding can be leather, can be fabric, can be wooden, it can be laminate board, it can be, anything generally, like aluco board, composite boards, anything. So you just always try as much as possible to use that. Then also, you also need to know the kind of pricing you are using. I don't know if I should go into pricing because it's another discussion entirely. But for your own for your own time to go and research, let me quickly mention like few that comes to my head in terms of pricing. I've tried to distinguish between cost and pricing earlier. If you wrote it down, cost is what it takes you to get the product. Pricing is what you sell it for or what your client is willing to pay. So now there are different ways to price depending on your status, depending on your brand, the level to which your brand is. So you see some brand now, their price is different, even though we are both basically going to do about the same thing. But because it's just like, okay, I want to buy slippers. Slippers is slippers. If you are buying Michael Kors slippers, the price is different from when you're buying Balenciaga slippers or you're buying Gucci slippers, or you want to go higher, you want to buy like a European. The prices are different, but they are all slippers. So, like I said, the pricing is dependent on a lot of status, and the type of project involved, the scale of project. So I will go with, let me just mention maybe like 4 or 5. But I will mention one that I use a lot of time because I have a lot of experience in sizing up people, and I know who can pay and I know who cannot pay. So I will go with value pricing. Value pricing is just pretty much straightforward, but you can, like I said, I wouldn't want to go too deep into that. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, clearly.
Okay, so number one, value
Yes.
pricing. Number 2, penetration pricing. Number 3, which one? Price skimming. We call it price skimming. All these are, like I said, they are based on certain parameters, and maybe you have to be at a certain level to be able to charge, this kind of price. We have bundle price, more like bulk, pricing. You have premium pricing, like I tried to explain before. Then there's the competitive pricing. Competitive, what your competitors are pricing, and you're trying to beat down, just maybe for you to be able to get some, though sometimes it's always dangerous, but you need to be skillful and understand what you are doing. That is, you understand what is costing you with the least you can go, for your profit margin. Let's just say, oh, okay, instead of me making 30% profit, just because I want to beat my competitor, I will take my profit margin down to 20%. That is competition, pretty much like a competitive pricing. And the last one is it's called psychological pricing. Psychological pricing is the one where after some time, see, depending on your interaction and your experience on different projects, your instincts will always tell you. So once you meet somebody, you look at the person and they're talking, and you can tell them, even though your standard consultation fee is, let's just say, like, for instance, 1 million. But based on the person's outlook, maybe you're sizing them up. You look at the person's, bag. You look at their skin. Like the way Bukola is shining now. I'll just look at him like, with this kind of freshness, I'll just give you 5 million straight. So it's more of a psychological thing. I'm able to size people up. I'm going to maybe possibly look at their car, their wristwatch, their shoes, their bag, their, jewelry, their accessories, and like, oh, okay, you cannot be paying the same rate with everybody. So I slam you straight up. So let me not digress. So let me go back to what we are. And there's also dynamic pricing as well. Dynamic pricing is more like, the cost across board and all of that. Like I said, there's a lot of pricing, but everything is based on the environment, individuals, status, and other factors. So I think I have pretty much listed, a couple of things. Also, service level agreements, I think, is also, what people need to look at as well. Service level agreements, for different industry varies, but I'm sure you can get templates online, which you can always adapt to your own kind of practice and all of those things that I've mentioned. Because, for service level agreements, there are just key things that you need to note in there, which is straightforward, which will help you develop but I always advise you that you take your time, especially with maybe your operations manager, your procurement manager, your lawyer, and yourself, based on the experience, how things work here in Nigeria, you are able to adapt properly. And, some of the things that you need to do is, first of all, any service level agreement, you need to identify the parties involved, including service provider and the client. So the reason why service level agreement is not only limited to your client is also excuse me, in the cases where you're going to be working with other, contractors, subcontractors or service provider, and once you are paying somebody, for instance, once you are paying somebody more than 10 million or even 5 million, there needs to be like a service level agreement between both of you, a terms and condition. Service level agreement is more like a terms and condition for us to do business. So if on a project where oh, okay, you're going to be needing like an MEP company, or you have, and me, I always advise people, especially when you have a kind of project, don't try to do everything by yourself. Look for other professionals. That's why you should charge well. Look for other professionals that you can collaborate with. And that is why, at IDAN, we don't encourage competition. Competition is not, something that I will encourage people to do. Look for like minds like you. It's not everybody you can collaborate with, but look for people that you guys share the same value, same personality, respect for each other, and you can, collaborate based on that. You need, because the honest truth is that at a certain level, you can't undo everything by yourself. So you need to learn how to work with other contractors. And so, guy, on this project, I need you to handle the plumbing, or your company, I need it for you. For the ones that you are not 100%, strong, you need to be able to subcontract it. Number two, under service level agreement, I will mention defining the scope. Because this is also very important. You need to so if the client is giving you the whole project, or you are handling the certain part of the project, or let's just say you are coming on a rescue project. In like our own case now, we come on a lot of rescue mission, like projects that the client has given to somebody else and they mess it up and they are stuck. You need to be able to, do your analysis, do your, site inspection, give your reports, and tell the client, okay, look, these are the areas that we think we can come in to salvage this thing and, help you out with it. So the scope of work needs to be defined clearly so that if anything goes wrong, like for instance, now we currently have a project where we have maybe the client doesn't really understand most of the thing and is kind of getting personal. So what we do is like we are going to call for a meeting of all stakeholders, and we come with our documents. What we mean to do here, we did, and this is our report. So it
Mr. Andrezini has been cut off. I think his network. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's back. It's back.
Yes, we can hear you.
It's back.
okay. Sorry, I think the network. I don't know what happened. Okay, so I think let me just move to the next one. Is number 3 on service level agreement is determining the matrix. Metrics. So metrics is more like a measurement, factor where you what you use, scale that you use to determine if somebody is delivering on what they promised to or what you guys agreed on, either in milestone or whatever way you want to measure it. So they are just more like measures that you put in place that are used, to check on your subcontractor, on your team, even for your own team. You should always have a metrics to judge them by. So okay, look, this is our work schedule, this is our work plan. Okay, let's say what you are supposed to execute is supposed to take about 8 days. You should break it down maybe into for 4 days or 2 days. In 2 days, we're supposed to have covered this part, and this part should have been finished, and we're moving to the next, part of it. So there should be metrics to check, which, maybe that can be the responsibility of the project manager or, the creative director, him or herself. So like I said, those are specific, measurable, and relevant, measures that you put in for services to be provided. And number 4, establishing targets. Targets, which is also based on, you coming up with your work plan or work schedule, setting timelines for what needs to be done. So all of these things need, to be able to, create a realistic, also in terms of that, you also need to be able to sit down and be realistic with yourself. What is the best timeline? What is involved for us to meet this timeline? So instead of it, some people now, like I always laugh at some people, they take on some project and they tell the client, oh, we can furnish a whole 5-bedroom duplex for you in 2 weeks. Where and you not put in some kind of buffer for yourself and say, okay, look, like for instance, in our contract, when it comes to timeline, we will tell the client, oh, this project will be done in 6 months. After the 6 months, we need another 2 months for snags and corrections. Then maybe we now say we need extra 2 weeks again for unforeseen circumstance. You need to be able to set all those things so that, because you're protecting yourself, because before you go and agree to a date that you don't have buffer for, and the client comes and use that excuse, because Nigerian client, they can look for anything to say, oh, I'm not paying the balance. You have messed up. Especially when you guys, sign the contract, and they make you sign a contract that maybe, in cases of some project where once you are past the timeline, you start losing particular amount of money either per week or per day. Depending on the size of project, some people lose as much as maybe 2 million naira per day or 10 million naira per week. The more time you waste in finishing the projects, the more money you are losing. So, you need to be able to set all those realistic timeline that is favorable for you, so that you don't run into that. Also in that, you need to also, define the responsibility on both ends. Responsibility, from the client, either for things that needs to be provided, funding, logistics, I don't know, anything you guys agree, based on the project. All those, and also on your own end as well, between your team, between your subcontractors and other service providers, you need to define the responsibilities of what is done. Then also, inside your service level agreement, there should be provision for reviews and revisions, because like I said, in the country with what we're going through in Nigeria now, there's no price regulation, there's nothing. People will just come and tell you dollar has gone up, so my price has gone up to this. So there should those living room for variation and reviews to say, okay, look, sir, this is where we are. The initial price that we gave you, the market price has gone way beyond that, and the need for variation for the client to pay the difference between that. Then I'll also say, signing the agreement. You guys need to sign and implement, what you agree on. Because if you do all these things without you guys putting pen to paper, it's null and void. So there has to be like a form of signing. Like for us now, even when we're sending out maybe invoice for consultation and design, we always make sure that you sign it before you pay your money. So that or even if it's just to acknowledge it on WhatsApp, because by law, I can present our chats as evidence. Or, one way or the other, the person should at least acknowledge, your terms and conditions of your SLA, either by signing it or just, replying the email, I agree to this. And you can have it as your, evidence or as a sign that, and basically after that, do your monitor and reporting. Definitely there has to be like a form of, like I say, form of check as well. Monitoring and reporting everything that's going on. During you just need to at least harm yourself with all this basic knowledge first. Then the rest are more of improvisation, depending on the events or the kind of wahala that happens on site, and knowing how to handle it. But
Wow.
especially factoring, especially our current problem in Nigeria, which is FX fluctuation and rising costs of material. Because some people they've been on some projects since maybe 2013 or 2014, at a particular rate, and everything has gone crazy. Client doesn't want to pay the difference. This one client will say, I paid you, I've given you money. This, I cannot pay you 1 naira. We agreed and we've done that. That's why you need to understand all these contracts and to make sure that you use them to your advantage to protect yourself. Like I said, not to cheat the client, but to protect both of yourself and create like a clear understanding so that even when, conflicts, there will always be conflicts, especially on major projects. It's just few, projects that doesn't come with any form of drama. But in Nigeria that we know, there will always be drama here and there, from what you can control and the rest. But I think, those are majorly things that at least in the basis, the foundation, that if you understand all these things, I don't think anybody can bamboozle you or threaten you or, like I said.
Wow. Thank you so much, Andrew. So I need to summarize, and that's going to be a whole lot. But I'll just mention a few most of these types of contracts listed are not even on the Google, just that summary I said we should go through. So and I took note of more than 20 here that Mr. Andrew has mentioned. So just add that 20 to the other 20 and see how. But basically, what this just highlights or just, brings our consciousness to is how much research there is to do as professionals to cover ourselves. A lot of people pricing, how do I cost? You ask those questions, it means you're interested. It means this is a pain point. It means this is something that you're struggling with. I think I would just encourage everyone here to not just end the CPD as it is, but to delve in deeper. Know your area of expertise. Know what is more like identity, your identity as a designer. Know what works for you. And Mr. Andrew said it's not just one size fits all. You can actually merge 1, 2, 3, or even 10, clauses from different, I really like this. I have a problem during delivery. I have a problem when it's time for installation. Then look for an area that covers that aspect that you're struggling with, and then incorporate it in your.
Yes, sorry, something.
Yep.
Something just I skipped something that I promised to mention while we're talking. So, like I said, there are some charges that most people leave on the table. That
you're on mute.
Sorry, okay. A call was coming in.
Okay.
So there are some charges that most people leave on the table, especially interior designers, which like I said, for major projects, especially when you're doing like a full residential project or commercial project, you should always charge your preliminaries. So now, for instance, you guys, you just charge for furniture, for painting. You don't understand that when you are breaking the place down, you generate rubbles, which you have to clear. Clearing the rubbles not free. Mobilizing your team yourself is not free. That's why you should always charge what you call the preliminaries, because that's why you see most people, even on paper, the project looks profitable, but by the time you start work, you'll find out that you should charge. Can you hear me?
Yes.
You should charge your, like I said, your design and consultation and design fee, because once most clients will value you more when you stand your ground. Even when they don't want to pay, you don't get back to them, because you tell them, look, doing the drawings doesn't come for free, because even if you have all these architects on your salary, on your payroll, you need to generate money. Those are part of ways to generate money to pay your bills, your overhead, which is also part of your costing. Don't forget, we talked about costing and pricing. The guys working in the studio or the office, They are part of your costing because the drawings, the 3Ds, the shop drawings, the working drawings is done by them and you're paying them salary. Or even if you are doing pro bono or whatever you are doing, you are paying them per project. You still have to pay. Somebody has to pay for it. Because when the client tell you, come and look at this project and you rush there, can you, send us something? You rush, you go and do mood board. Because before you can do mood board, you need to do your floor plan. Even if you are
Yeah.
doing it by yourself, the knowledge, the school that you went to, the design school you went for, the architecture school you went to, and everything, you paid school fees, you paid for hostel, you paid, even your laptop that you are using, you bought it. It's part of
So
your cost. The money
The
has to be
software,
recovered.
how about the software?
Your software, your Revit, your V-Ray, your Corona, your 3D Max. You are paying for it either monthly or quarterly, you have to pay for it. So then supervision fee, because a lot of time you don't know that like you get to also supervise things that are not in your scope of work, or generally everybody's. So you need to charge a supervision fee, you need to charge your contingency. Contingency fee is what you call contingency fee, and you have the miscellaneous. Because you can, most of the time, you might not be able to list out everything that is needed on the project. But in the process, things will come up that you cannot go to the client. So now you just look at it like, oh, it's not plenty now. It's just 5,000 naira. It's just 100K. But you are losing money, your profit, so it's part of your costing. So you need to be able to, before you now put your VAT and add everything before you send it total to the client. And always stick your foot. Maybe worst case scenario, if they are negotiating, you can tell them, okay, look, I can drop this down to like maybe 50% or 60%, but I still need to charge for this. Because a lot of time, most people, we don't factor in, like you are sourcing for people now, and you are driving to Teju or you are driving to wherever from your place. The cost of fuel, the maintenance of your car, the cold drinks you buy in the process, and the food. Don't forget now, maybe especially if you're working in Lekki where an average cost of any meal now is like maybe like 14K. All those is part of your costing. So you need to always make sure that all these charges, you charge for them, you put it in your costing. Your preliminary, which is most important, especially when you have to, remove some things, you break in tiles, you need to cut those things away. You need to pay, the payloader to come and carry all those raw books. You need to charge for all of those. You cannot be removing that from your projected profits. So those things you need to charge, because like I said, you are leaving too much money on the table, and it affects your profitability in any project. Charging sourcing fee. Oh, I just want to go shop. Okay, even if you are shopping together, even if you are flying me to Turkey together, apart from paying for my hotel, paying for my feeding, I need to get a fee. How much are you paying me to do all this work out with you, to lead my team,
Absolutely.
to use all of this, knowledge for you? Because that's why you notice, like, some people will tell you, okay, look, like, Miss Tessie, mentioned earlier, you are calling somebody in for something, because of the experience they have, even though they are going to do that work in less than maybe 5 minutes, but they will charge you $50,000. It's because of the cumulative experience, the loss, and everything they've experienced, on the project. That's why their fee is different. So some kind of consultant, they will tell you, before I stand up from my table, it's $20,000. You pay that one in full. Then anything else, I charge you per hour, or I charge you per day. So, like I said, stop leaving all this money on the table.
10 minutes left.
No, I'm done. I'm done.
Okay. And then but permit me to extend it to 30 so that we go just 20 minutes past 12.
No, I'm pretty much done, unless we just want to do question and answer.
Q&A, yes. Wow. It's inexhaustible. But I mean, it's just this call to call to research, call to be more deliberate and intentional. You can't just dive into a project and, well, this might not be your first time, but if it's happened more than once, twice, you've gotten into trouble, or you've not been able to break even, or you see that, or the way I the costing or the budget for this project didn't work out, and then you're doing the same thing over and over, then that's where the problem is. It's not really the costing, then it's you not taking time out to try and resolve the problems or the challenges you have. There's so many resources, so many, and just guides that we can follow, or at least use as a tool to guide us in costing our projects. So please, let's do our research. And it occurred to me that sometimes we're just searching in the wrong place. And I'm hoping that we took a few notes here and there, and we look up some key terms and words. Another word that came up for me was the word retrofit, when Mr. Andrew was talking about repair and maintenance sort of contracts, and he mentioned retrofits. But actually, I don't know, there was a program we had once, and I'm like, if you look at majority of what interior designers do in Nigeria, apart from new builds, is to retrofit. Something already exists, you're improving it. Somewhere something is for residential purposes, they're changing to commercial, that conversion. Retrofitting is a whole topic in itself, and you cannot treat a retrofitting project like a furnishing project, for instance. He also mentioned when he was saying lump sum and stipulated, I took a note, I jotted down, for instance, kitchen design. In terms of unit price, sorry, when he was talking about unit price, laminate board is maybe 31,000 per board, blah, 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 the screws, the nails, the handles. There's different components of kitchen design, for instance, or you're furnishing a kitchen. Well, whereas some people just charge 50,000 per meter or per linear meter for a kitchen. If it's a high-end one, maybe 150, maybe 200. Whereas some people list up to the screws, up to the nail, up to the tap that you're using. Some people don't bother doing that. And I feel like it's a measure of experience. I've done, for instance, not I personally, but if you've done kitchen design, like maybe you've worked on 20 kitchens in a year or over the course of 5 years, by now you should know how much it costs you and cut all that, individual costing and just go straight to the point. What level, what type of kitchen are you looking to get? Do you want MDF? That should be able to sort of point you in the direction of how to cost. Is it lump sum? Am I doing it? Am I subcontracting it? So these variables are endless. He also talked about charges and buffers for our quotations or our costing, things like contingencies, transportation, installation services, product sourcing, which is very peculiar. And also the word specification came into play as well. A huge part of costing is specifying, okay, is it 5 mm something board, or is it 10 mm? Is it MGF or is it HDF? Also using generic words in our specifications, those things are very important. If you've gone to specify a brand, then you're tied to that in terms of delivery. Clients is saying, no, but you said I'm going to get a Vitra WC. So let's leave this sort of buffers, okay? And something I just noticed, charges different from pricing, different from costing, different from value. So sometimes it's just that we're interchanging these things, and we need to sort of distinctively know the difference between a service, a product, something that you're delegating or subcontracting, a charge on something, it's different from the price or the cost of it. If you're going to order maybe a kitchen from Alaba, for instance, or really, you know, it doesn't come in, it's flat pack, it doesn't come in installed, and you have to consider the transportation first and also the installation. They're going to charge you separate for that. So a lot of things that we just cover for the clients. You mentioned that, you know, on paper, your costing and everything might look okay. You've marked up each individual item, each service level is catered for, and then you still run at a loss. So there are these hidden charges, hidden or misconstrued words, okay, that we're lumping up together. So we need to actually go through these things and make sure that we're clear on what we're doing before we present it to clients. So I would leave Ms. Tessie to just give us a closing. I'm sure she has a lot of things to add on to this. So she gives us a closing remark, and then please, while she's doing that, let's just type in our Q&As and we'll see if we can take your questions. Thank you.
I think Mr. Andrezini has done his bit. I mean, everybody, I think one important thing we should know, you know, like what has been said, you have over 30 to 40 contracts. Identify who you are, identify your services, identify what works for you, what works for the people you're serving. And this cannot be done unless you do research. You're able to understand what should apply to you, you know. So for me, number one, in a summary kind of thing, I want to just say, understand the project requirements to have the right pricing strategies. Understand the project requirement. Are you doing a retrofit? Are you doing a remodeling? Are you doing just a furnishing? Are you doing a commercial hospitality? What sort of thing are you doing? Understand what that project requires. Does it require, understand the step-to-step, the step-by-step, the processes, you know, like Mr. Andrezini pointed out. Truly, some of these costs, we actually take on them, like cleaning, for example, on my projects, I ensure whether it's furnishing or not, there is a percentage given for cleaning because we've seen that it is a must. And like now, I go into your home, you say, oh, come and fix it. Who would clean? Your cleaner, your home cleaner, or I have to tidy that up. You know, so these little things, I believe, are components, and we need to stay sensitive to them so that we become as profitable as we are giving services. You know, the next thing would just be understand the cost estimation. Cost estimation, like we have broken down, they are just, is it your labor cost? Is it, what are the elements, the composition that makes for the entire pricing? You know, break it down, you know what it is, know the list, tick it off, then you now can create a fee structure. You must have a fee structure. You know, you must have some level of fee structure, you know, groom into it. I remember when we decided that, okay, I said Nigerians can do hourly. I said I can do hourly. And when I did it, it worked. And there's some projects I said it has to be in ethics. And I tried it, it worked. You know, so never say never. And it's not just because you're throwing this fees in there. It's actually because of the value. Because guess what? If you're very value oriented, when you get on a project, you just want to give your all. And that's why sometimes you can come out of a project broke because you've extended yourself plus your health. I remember when I handled some government project that was so extensive to my health, you know, because short time delivery, commercial project, and I'm like back to back because you're driving people. Projects, you know, well, Mr. Andrezini can speak more. He's not just talking about design aspect, which, yes, there's some people here, you're just design focused, turning on your 3D, planning your space. But there are other people that their core is projects. And to run projects, you have to have a vibe, an energy that pushes it, that is more than just fees and costs, you know. And it's in that you're able to understand how to put your fees across to the other party, you know. Then, of course, client's expectation. To be great at whatever you're doing, you need to understand what your client expects from you, and you need to communicate it clearly. For instance, I like the fact that Mr. Andrezini mentioned, yes, put high end, you know, but if you can, if it's value paint, right? Value paint. Sometimes these things can save you. I remember when it came to paint, when a client, we just wrote a particular one, and when he was now insisting, why didn't you use Dulux? And we're like, they charge for Dulux. We just wrote, and it was like, but you did not tell me that you're not going to use Dulux. So you see, so it has its pros and cons. You have to be careful knowing when you know who the client's expectation, try to understand the client's expectation. If the client's expectation is not such detailing, of course, do what you know would also make you comfortable and would outlive. You want to do projects that you look back, you know, and you're proud that you did that project. Your project can stand 5 years, 6 years, 10 years. You know, your design styles can stand 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years. Now, as a designer, that should be really what we should be looking out for. You know, we should be looking out that our design, now I'm talking more on design, not on projects. So you see, in our industry, we deal with both design and projects. Mr. Andrezini has talked more about projects because projects, too many things. But when you're coming to design, they are very intangible, but they are very important to look into. And that importance is the value, and that's why sometimes it's difficult to play about it, like to charge for it. But you have to see what you bring in. If you're going to do a design that would outlive or a client, or before that, when you're doing your procurement and sourcing, you're able to do international sourcing where you bring in lights, maybe just one kind of light that is in the whole world. You're able to find the kind of craftsmanship that matches the taste and expectation of your client. You have done your bit. And if you've done your bit, how are you going to put it? Are you just going to put it up? Because sometimes they call up for those things. They'll say, okay, I want to see the FX, how it is. So you do that, but you charge your fees, my sourcing fee. So literally for me, I kind of like break just on the easy side when it's not a large project, especially, or a detailed project or a commercial project. I look at like 5 elements. I deal with consultation. Consultation is my call out fee. Oh, you want to come and see my site? Okay, if you're not seeing your site, let's do a virtual consultation. Nobody's moving anywhere. Let's whatever. If you can, do a video, send to me. Would call up and do it. But if you think that you need me to come in, take measurements, give you stuff, you have to pay consultation fee. And when you deal with that, I go to design fee, which has to do with design packages, which has to do with like the work drawings, everything that would help that the design is understood, communicated to all parties. That's a different fee entirely. You know, then you now talk about sourcing and procurement. You want things that are just limited to you. You want things that are just even customized to you. You want things that furniture that is not anywhere else. You know, there's a fee to those. So sourcing and procurement has its fees, no matter how little. So on the whole, maybe you want to charge a client 2 million at the whole, but you can break them down. What does that do? First, it communicates to the client the value you're bringing on the project. It also communicates to the client the ability for you to deliver on like the milestones, like Mr. Andrezini has said, because it's not big projects, you might not have, but these are your milestones as a designer: consultation, design package, sourcing and procurement, then project management. Because you can design and you're not called to project manage it, which sometimes is actually very nice. You leave the headache to Mr. Andrezini.
Actually, it's not every project that we do as well. Part of what we do is just we help you with the full scale design, all the necessary drawings, shop drawings, And it's okay, you just call any professional, give this document to them. They're able to.
Exactly.
Especially because these days I hardly travel out of Lagos. So usually for clients that have projects out of Lagos, I would just say, okay, look, what we can do for you is create all the documents for you, and you can call virtually. We recommend, oh, we know this person in this state, go and talk to him. And
Exactly. So for me, in fact, these days I love my design fees and just stay there, project manage yourself. I can help you source, I can help you do, but yes, if you're into project management, like Mr. Andres, please look at your contracts. That's where sometimes a whole lot of those mistakes come in, and we tend to expend more energy and be paid less because we really don't know the dynamics of project management and its fees. Then, of course, for me, the last would be the styling part. So you can do all of that and not style. Like, here you are. This is what you asked for. Whatever. But I mean, styling, and there's some projects that really, and yes, as interior designers, we should begin to give some services. Going to hotel, do refreshers for them. They don't need retrofitting. They don't need renovation. They might just need a tweak here, a tweak there. And that's you go in and style. You do seasonal styling when it's this wet season or when it's the dry season, and you tell them how this affects their market days, how this affects their business, how this can connect to their clients, whether it's in shops, open shops, commercial spaces. I think these are all places we can also come into play, and that has to do with pricing strategies, when you have big shop fronts that are borrowing over time, they need, and that also brings to retainer fees. You can strike a retainer fee with organizations, with corporate organizations, and tell them, listen, we can sign up to, if they have like guest houses or even their office spaces, and one is to sell the values. When you sell the values, you can sell the money. But if you don't sell the values, it's difficult to sell the money. So these are ideas in ensuring that we stay profitable, that we can come up with, so retainer fees to do designs or to style or to do stuff for people, for organization, for even residential spaces, even for the government. How about bidding fees? In fact, Mr. Adresi should talk about this. Some of us do the work of a bidder. What does that? I remember years ago when I was actually doing my engineering, those were some parts that I remember I loved best: bidding, winning bids, ability to play with numbers, playing with categories to get that job. For me, I love that. But some designers, but there's a bidding fee because it's not easy. Like Mr. Jason is saying now, to know how to corner some words, not take out some words to make that project profitable. There's a skill to it, and you should. If you're good at it, you should charge for it. I rest my case. I want to hear from everyone too.
Thank you. So I hope we've been typing our questions. No, none so far. Wow. Okay, everyone just listening. Interesting. Thank you so much, Sandrizini.
I didn't know there are two people that raised their hands earlier. I think someone that has POS on it. I think
it was just when Mr. Andrezini was talking, it was typing management contracting form of contract, cost plus. I think he was just reiterating some of the types of contracts. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I'll just go through a final.
Kingsley has his hand raised.
Okay. Who has his hand raised? I can't see.
Kingsley, KBC. Maybe he should unmute and take. Yeah.
Can you unmute and just ask a question?
All right. Anyway, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
All right. Yeah, I have a question here. when she was mentioning how to apply costing in interior design, now she said there are 5 practical steps in doing that. So I did actually get that 5. I got one, and it said consultational, and then so the other 4 parts I didn't get that. So please, if you can help with that, please. The remaining 4. Sorry, did you get the question?
Yes, okay, I got it. So I just said to make this easy, I mean, if you're design focused, especially, um, 5 areas I think we should charge for: consultation, which has to do with site visits, trying to understand the scope of work and all of that. That's consultation. You put a little fee to that. Then you have the design package, or you call it the design fees. This has everything to do with the designing, has everything to do with material specification and working drawings and all. Now, all these 5 can actually stand by themselves. You can service someone just consulting, they pick your brain. I mean, I've had clients that will just come, oh yeah, test, I don't want your money, but just let me pick your brain. I say, okay. And they come, we exchange ideas, they pay, and that's it. And some of them say, no, we want consultation. We want you to also give us design drawings and all the ideas to run this project, but we will call someone else to manage it. Perfect. So that's the second one, design fee or design package fees. Then you have the sourcing and procurement fees. This has to do with when you have to, the element, the components in the project where, so in some cases, this sourcing and procurement fees, people just have it, some people have it outrightly costed out for. Some people mark up the items to have the fees for those. So it depends on you and what works for you and your client. Now, the fourth one is project management fees. Project management fees has to do with, running the project from ideation to executing it to the end. The whole 4 cycles of project management, getting involved in it. So, hey, you get paid for vendor management, taking the heat, taking corrections, interpreting designs to the people that are working in there, supervising, ensuring that measurement specifications are carried out, are kept up, all of those, ensuring that you have your straight lines. This is a lot of burden. Like, don't get on it and just be a half-measure person. You must be a detailed person, and you must know. You have no permission not to know. Because if the client pays you for this, the client wants to know that you know. Whether you're speaking to an architect, whether you're speaking to the engineer, whether you're speaking to the structural person, and you can flow along in, like literally all the profession that is required in building and construction. So that's project management. And the fifth is styling fees. Styling fees has to do with just the general look and feel combination. You can enter a space and just the way you position a chair makes a whole difference. You can enter a space, just the way you position a bed makes a whole difference. You can position a space, whether in the boutique, and just the way so styling is a skill and is a fee by itself, can aid. So all the things that you're being paid for, you're also giving a service, meaning that you're bringing value to who you're charging. There's a charge for it, and you are also giving a value for it. Don't just charge what you cannot give. Charge what you would give, because at the long run, that's what will cost more to come to you. Thank you.
Wow, amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. When you were saying 5, I'm like, when you were talking, I actually wrote 12. I don't know how I got to 12. Consultation, design fee, sourcing and procurement. Maybe under sourcing and procurement, I wrote contingency somehow. Unique selling point, you mentioned that. Okay, I think when you said unique selling point, it's not limited to this 5. Any area that you're adding value to can be charged separately, essentially. Project management, styling. Under styling, I even put in brackets photography, Some clients even require you to do a whole video of the space. All those things. Mood boards, you mentioned mood boards by itself, just
Oh, I think her network has taken her out. Okay, whilst we wait for her, maybe if anyone has any other question, you can ask Mr. Andrezini or myself whilst we wait for this section to get back. Okay, someone is asking questions. Seems like it's either we did well or we didn't do well in helping you understand how to price for profit.
Sorry, good afternoon. Can I ask a question?
Yes, please, Mr. Charles.
Yes, please, I just wanted to just be sure when it comes to marking up prices for products, how do you properly do it to the point where you're not feeling like you're overdoing it or feeling like you're cheating the client? So I just want to just be clear on that.
Mr. Andrezini?
Yeah, please come again.
I said when you're marking up your pricing for example, a product for, let's say, maybe like an armchair or an accent chair that costs, say, maybe 150K, how do you mark it up appropriately?
Basically for most international practice, most people do, between depending on the size and the complexity of the product, between 10 and 30%. Then, if you're in the luxury range, definitely some people do, 300%, especially if you're working on custom pieces. I mean, like high-end custom pieces, sometimes you can do as much as 300, 400%. But I think ideally is always, for us, what we do is 20 to 30% on our markups for our projects. So that because we having that understanding lets okay, if there's a form of any negotiation, the least you can go in terms of giving discounts or whatever it is. But I think 30% is reasonable, and for any products or any service or products you are doing. So
Thank you.
I totally agree with him. So internationally, I think it's 15 to 30% that it's ideal for you to do that, being that for consistency and the rest. But like he said, when it's premium, it's more than, you're not selling the product, you're selling the experience, you're selling other things. Yeah. So when you're going that route, you can't go and be charging 10%. They will not buy you. They will think that you are just ordinary commodity. So you have to be able to give experience. So not just the quality of what it is. So for instance, if you go to a Harrods, when you go and like Mr. Andrezini mentioned, so the same person that produced a Hermes bag, for instance, or a Gucci bag, maybe the same manufacturing company, is producing for 2 or 3 companies, product designers, they're producing for 2 or 3 companies, but one is higher than the other. Now, the person that takes it higher is not because it's just the differentiation, and differentiation sometimes can be a button, can be a little thing, and can also be the presentation, the experience. the way they take to wrap the item, the way they do double the packaging. So you must be ready. If you're going the route of premium, ensure that you're giving the experience. Premium is not just about it, but it's more about the experience, so you have to be able to curate that if you're going that route. But like Mr. Andrezini mentioned, 10 to 30% is ideal, so that you're not seen, like you're not seen to be overly ambiguous with your pricing, and you get yourself out of the market. And as a business person, remember, it's not just, you're not staying in business for just 1 year or 2 years or even 5 years. If you're trying to build a lasting business, you want some level of consistency, which is the reason why you must always try to check in. Are my prices right? Am I doing well? My team are doing well? Because at some point, you're not in the forefront of pricing as a business owner or an executive in the business. You'll be more in the field or so. But once in a while, you have to sit in and check in. How am I doing with my numbers? I hope we've answered. I think we did. POS. I'm sorry, that's what I see. He's raising his hand.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Yeah, so I think it's been a very good session. And thank you for putting this together. I just thought I should ask that they differentiate a custom piece from customizing a furniture piece to a space. I don't think that was clearly defined. So are you classifying them as the same? Customizing furniture to suit a particular space as opposed to, off-the-shelf standard sizes, and actually making a custom piece for a customer.
No,
so
they're
quite
not the
different,
same.
but people can compete for it. Yeah.
No, it's quite different. Customer.
Yeah.
Mr. Andrezini.
No, you go ahead. So.
Okay, so it's different. In fact, that is a service by itself. And there are reasons why you should sell it that way. A one piece in the wall, craftsmanship is difficult. Craftsmanship is not as, multiple production, So the way you sell it, so you can price or cost whatever your price, because not cost. Cost will deal with the actual, sorry, my laptop is out of power. Okay, so once you get your cost right, how to produce it, the next thing is to price it. And like Mr. Andrezini said, who you're selling to matters. So how you position that product that you have customized is really dependent on you, how you want to sell it out. But customized items can never be the same as off-the-shelf market. Welcome, Sekjen. So I don't know, did I answer, or do you want more like POS?
No, so I think yeah, maybe they're like three categories. So you have off the shelf, then you have which will come with a price. Then you have this customizing, So for instance, if you make furniture and you've got fixed sizes, you can charge a lesser fee because it's something that you produce quite often. Then if you have a client where their space, you're having to now make templates that are customized to that space, you can't charge the same price as, then you now have custom pieces. Right,
yes,
right, okay.
So there are two types of custom pieces. Custom piece just unique to someone, and custom piece as a result of moving out of the templates of the production line.
Sure.
Which I hear you.
Sure.
Yes, so that definitely, without said, that has, but let me allow.
Yes.
Yeah, Madam Tassi, there's custom and then there's bespoke. Bespoke is specifically to the person's specifications or their space.
That was what I was going to
bring.
That was what I was going to bring.
You have a curved wall, and then you have to make a console that is curved. The standard is straight, what you have in stock is straight, but then you have to actually pull in artisans and all to create something specially for that situation or space. Yeah, that's bespoke. Any other questions? It's 12:26, so we have like 4 minutes. Any other questions, please?
Yeah, then let me add again. So the thing is the level of craftsmanship and the rarity of the materials and also the brand also influences some of these, the pricing for items like that. So if you're really talking about custom, then like I said, the level of craftsmanship, the rarity of the materials that are used, and also the brand, the person, behind this thing. So like for instance now, one of my best furniture maker ever for me is Christopher Guy. You need to see the process. It looks simple, but the experience, you can never see like a 16 or 26 years old guys in their carpentry team. They are majorly older guys, in that even in the fact that they infuse a lot of technology, there's still that part of that, people with over 40, 50 years experience in craftsmanship. They're able to bring all of these designs, the curves, the details, the finishing out in a proper way. And the lengths they go to source for some of the materials, even some of the materials for the fabrics for the furnitures are made specially, or they are ordered from maybe one small city, in Spain or somewhere. So when you're talking about custom pieces, it depends on, like I said, the brand, the person. So that's why, when Matthias was talking about, quality between the fashion brands. So you notice like Zara, there's Massimo Dutti, and I think they have about 3 or 4, brands now. But the Massimo Dutti is more expensive than Zara. I think they have Reese and other, brand now, which, the prices are different, but pretty much everything is coming from Zara as the parent company, but they have a lot of other, price range. But like I said, I think these three things matters when you are talking about a custom or bespoke, or as compared to off the shelf or your regular pieces. So.
Can I just add, well, because we mentioned innovation and the technology that goes into creating something. It just brought to light R&D, research and development. I feel like the Vitras and the Eames and all that, the reason why they're still able to charge premium, even though people are now making knockoffs, you can get an Eames chair from China and all that, is the research and development that goes into innovating that product in the first place. You find that maybe Christopher Guy was the first furniture producer to research into a material and maybe wood bending and all that. Maybe before the 19 whatever, they used to bend it with steam and whatever. They've put so much money heavily into research and development to create some other way of manufacturing something. And then the people knocking off or remaking, or your upholstery guy saying, let me do this from Pinterest, hasn't put in that value into that research and development. So that's the reason why that person can charge, even though it's the same tufted button sofa, the brands can charge how much they're charging because they're still putting that value on the research and development.
Yeah.
They're pioneers
if you
of
look
that
at
metal
even
construction. They're pioneers of even using wallpaper. You find some like brands in Britain, they're the first, maybe 17th century people to actually come up with the wallpaper or this type of materials. So that heavily years and years of research and design. And it just occurred to me that as designers as well, maybe there's a new brand or there's a new restaurant or hotel you came up with practically the concept, the idea. So why not let's make it into your concept is the one driving the brand. and then concept stage is 100,000. And design fee and marking up on the chairs and the bar stools is 20%. And it's just that value system of, to be honest, the concept itself, the mood board you created or the color swatch for the company that they now use for their branding, for their brand identity, that's the color that their staff uniform is, that's the color of their signboard. And you came up with this thing and it's coherent and everything works together. Nobody really gives credit to research and development that goes into design. You know, they just, designer, they just say, Mr. Andresin, you're so clever. He just came up with this idea to, because the space of the bar would not, the furniture won't go in. So he just said, why not make it slant or why not put it diagonal? And I just, thank you so much. If not because you sent it, we'll not have been able to do it. And it just passes by, you know, so that years and years that you have put into your research, development, education, everything, creativity, design thinking, we don't really get to factor in. Whereas these brands and luxury brands do that, and they able put those prices on things that you're like, is it not an armchair that we can replicate? Even though they're mock-ups and people remake it, but they're the first, they're the pioneers, and they can charge that because they're confident in the value. So yeah, just thought to add that. So any other questions? The chairman of the educational committee, she's still here. Do you have any closing remarks? Okay. Can the PRO of the association give us? I know it's still Mr. Andresini. Now you're like not as a speaker, but as the PRO, just sensitize us on the importance of the association and
someone is raising their hand.
And why we should keep. Okay, Mrs.
I think
Abiba
we're
is
out of
raising her
town.
hands from Abuja.
We're out of town. Okay, let's just take this last question because we are pretty much out of time.
Raising her hand. Yes, please. Yes, yes. Mrs. Abiba.
I said I sent a message. I see nobody saw it.
Okay. I think I logged out, so I can't see the chats, the messages that were sent in the period that I was offline.
Okay,
Ms. Tessie,
can you hear me?
Yes, please.
So my question is, when you do markup, sometimes people incorporate the project management supervision all in the hidden rate markup, and then sometimes people have the supervision project management rate at the end of the bill that's visible. So that was my question. Because somebody made a statement about the 10 to 30% markup.
Okay. I think she was talking about hidden charges and being transparent with the charges. Wait, do you want to know which one is best or in what situation you can hide and
can you hear
situation? Me? Yes. You went off.
What I was asking, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Is it best to show the project management supervision charge at the end of a bill, or you can incorporate it into the hidden charges of that percentage?
To answer your question, I think if there should be any hidden charges, it should be in your product and services. Supervision should be a separate charge entirely.
Absolutely.
Because depending on, like I said, depending on the scope of the project. So supervision should be actually stated clearly in there that, look, especially if I'm not like the main contractor or playing a major role, I should charge if you are going to be adding other contractors under me for what is not in my scope particularly, then you should charge for it, even if you are the main contractor as well. to that, you should still charge that. So it should be clear. But what I would not advise is, breaking. A lot of time people tend to break down their prices. All of this. I think you should always find a way to put everything together and present to the client, because once you start breaking down to full details, the client might just want to look into it. Oh, then they come up with all those ideas of, can I get this material for you? Can I, like I said, well, it depends on your operation terms. But for me, I try not to over break down all those, prices, even if especially when I have like hidden charges and all of those things. But for supervision, I think it should be outright, put it in there. Then if it's up to you, if they want to negotiate and say, oh, these things, okay, look, the least I can do for you, because by we coming here like every day or 3 times a week or 4 times a week, it's costing me my time and my energy, fuel, and all of those. So I think you should, put the price there outright.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
No,
Fabulous.
Mr. C.
In terms of project management, I think what helps.
I agree with him. I mean, if I have
Yeah.
interest, yes, I agree with him. It should be a charge by itself. If at all, where for me, markup comes only on maybe sourcing and procurement. If you ask me, I mark up, but my designer's fees for every single thing, I try to break it down so that I'm clear on what I want to earn on that project, because of how sensitive projects can be, or so that money is not lost. But when it comes
I agree.
to
I agree. That's what I usually do.
Okay. So I mean, in another situation where clients feel like, are you not meant to be supervising? You've collected a design fee. It just shows that they don't understand that design is different. Maybe they don't understand the different stages that there is to design, and you're not obliged. The fact that you're capable of doing something doesn't mean you're obliged to do it. I have the capacity to be a project manager, but am I going to serve as a project manager on this job? I think, and also sometimes it's always good to say, do you have a project manager that can work with us? Or would you require us to get you one or recommend one or get someone from our team to project manage this? So you are clearly making it obvious that it's not part of your scope. It's something you can provide for them, or they can, if they do have someone that they feel would be better to project manage. But you're making it very obvious that in design and project management are 2 separate scopes. Thank you so much, everyone, for hanging in there and staying with us. It's been an amazing CPD. And I think the admins will get across the next sort of events or program that we're running under IDAN. If you're not yet an IDAN member, please reach out on Instagram or any of our platforms and try and sign up. These are the benefits and advantages of being in an association and having a community to share and to learn from. Thank you so much. God bless everyone. And thank you so much to our speakers, Mrs. Tessie and Mr. Andrew. God bless. Thank you.
And lastly, before we leave, talking as the PRO right now, we really implore everybody to actually register officially to join IDAN. Like I said, we have a lot of values to give, like what we're doing right now. And we intend to also, do our bits in our own tenure to standardize the industry. The honest truth is, if we don't move as a unit, we're going to keep experiencing what we've been experiencing, over the years. Clients, maltreating designers, not, respecting designers, not, appreciating our role in this society. So if we move as a unit, we have our rules, we have our regulations with which we practice, not like, everybody's just doing whatever they like. And, because it makes it better, especially for people who are just, joining the industry or trying to find their feet. We need to, like I said, work in collaboration, in cooperativeness, so that, whatever, template that we set out, which we intend to roll out, pretty soon, our handbooks, how to, carry yourself as a designer, like most of what we've been teaching now, all the standard procedures to designing and executing all of this is these are documents that will be shared at time going as a member, and also will be able to protect you in case anything happens, provide a lawyer, keep educating you on how to standardize your business and run your business effectively. And because you can't enjoy this if you're not a member, or you understand what is going on in the industry as the practice is concerned. So we implore you that, look, tell your friends, tell every design enthusiast that really wants to be part of this, to send a message on Instagram, or we'll share the number of the membership person, who you can always reach out to for you to register officially. So, like I said, we need to move as a unit. It's very important. We need to move as a unit, so that everyone is part of the umbrella. We're all protected. We all understand. We're on the same page, and we're able to effect all these changes that we want. The way we want people to respect us, and also how we also practice for people to respect us. And that's major reason why you need to join us. We intend to be as of service as much as possible. Yes, add more value every time that we have the chance to that. And I also let me say kudos and thank you to the education committee. Thank you to Tessie for joining us. Thank you to our SecGen. Thank you to our president, everybody. We hope to see you really soon again on another, episode of CPD, and especially for the physical one and the town planning, the town hall meeting, coming soon. So, like I said, we have a lot of beneficial activities for the members. So please register to join officially and enjoy all these benefits. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.